All right, welcome to the Robo Show. I'm your host, Chad Robichaux, and man, super excited about today's guest. Not only someone I've always looked up to my whole martial arts career, but spent many years as my professor, and still to this day, when people ask me, where to get my black belt from, who I right away reference this professor, Professor Vinicius Draculino. Magalhães. He's a 6th degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu under Carlos Gracie Jr. and is the head instructor of Gracie Barra, Texas, and Gracie Barra Belo Horizonte schools in Brazil. More than 20 years teaching experience in Jiu-Jitsu. For his competition, I could go on and on about his competition accolades, but I'll say, some of the highlights: 4-time Pan American champion, no-gi Pan American champion, 4-time Brazilian national champion, 2-time world silver medalist. He's won the MMA world title. He's Abu Dhabi veteran. And besides being just an incredible competitor, I think, Professor, you're most known for being one of the most prolific and successful jiu-jitsu instructors in the world. Some of the students you'll see that Professor has put out has won worlds, pans, national titles, over 80 black belts, and so many MMA champions. And again, myself, I was one of the product of your jiu-jitsu. Even before we met, watching your videos, and then it became one of your students, and something I'll always be so proud of. Even though we don't get to be on the same team anymore, I'm still something I'm so proud of. And more than any of all that stuff, I'm just still happy to call you a friend. And so
me too, brother.
To have you on.
Me too. Thank you very much for the kind words. I mean, guys, just a little parenthesis there. Chad is a really good friend of mine. So he says that I'm better than I'm already, and then I really am. So, but that's good. I appreciate it, Chad. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. On top of all your jiu-jitsu stuff, one of the things I think is super impressive, a lot of people may not know about you, is you're also a lawyer in Brazil, and you graduated from one of the most prestigious law schools in the country. And your daughter Jade has followed your footsteps to be a lawyer. I think that's where you're visiting now. Igor, your son, got into not law but politics and political.
Yeah, but he's going to law school now, starting in September.
So you got this.
They all sold out.
Say again.
They all sold out for the money of the lawyer career.
But Igor's a black belt.
Yeah, but
Igor's a black belt as well. Yeah, which is kind of cool. Both of our sons.
He's a black belt. Really cool. Yeah, they got it like around the same time, I guess, right?
Yeah, I think Igor got a little bit
black belts like around a little bit before. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man. Good to be here, brother. Good to be here.
Well, so how do you? A lot of people know who you are. A lot of people have seen you during your competition years and now as a coach. But can you tell everybody that how do you, a lawyer or jiu-jitsu, like you went to law school, how do you become who you are today as a competitor and as a coach?
Man, I started jiu-jitsu as a teenager. I used to do judo before, and believe it or not, it wasn't judo that took me to jiu-jitsu. It was surfing, because I used to surf in Rio on a spot that the Gracie family members and a bunch of other very famous jiu-jitsu guys nowadays, they were surfing. So, we're pretty much neighbors, surfing, getting together. And then one thing took to the other, So when I was around 13, 14, I started to train jiu-jitsu. And it's funny, Chad, because right off the bat, even though I was a young teenager, I knew there would be something that I would do for the rest of my life. Of course, in the 80s, you could never think that we would be doing what we do the way we're doing now, like huge and live broadcast and people making a lot of money just competing in jiu-jitsu and seminars all over the world. I didn't imagine that. I just love it. And I guess I didn't know exactly how I would be involved, but I knew I would right off the bat. It's like something that I would for sure. You know what I mean? So that's what took me to jiu-jitsu. I started like at around 84, like end of 84. And I'm still here, man. I mean, I never stopped to study. I always studied. I went to law school, like you said, and it was a good law school. And I got my lawyer license. I just went to Brazil last year to renew it. But I don't work as a lawyer since 1995, actually, 1996. I don't do anything related to law, you know. But yeah, it was a tough time. When in 95, I got my black belt right after I got my degree, my law degree. So it was a tough time, really busy. I had my daughter, you know, young Jade, and she was already born. So it was tough, but worth it, because then like I had the option, you know. And I mean, I think everybody knows my option, where it was, you know. Yeah.
Well, and some of your childhood friends, you know, were Gracie family members. I know you.
Yeah.
Kenzo, Hyan.
Half,
Yeah.
yeah. Master Carlinhos was going there, Helion, Gracie, you know, but mostly the three. You know, Renzo was a little older than us. So when you're a teenager, like 3 years, 4 years, like they don't want to hang out with you. So I used to hang out more with Hyan and Half back in the day. And then, I mean, when you get older, it changes. But yeah.
Yeah, because you and Renzo are pretty close today.
Yeah, no, we were super close. I mean, we were, but I mean, we didn't hang out in the same circles because Renzo was older, you know, and we kind of like, get the heck out of here. Not just me, but even his little brothers. He wasn't the same circle, you know. But yes, like you said, like you get older now, like, you know, what's 3, 4 years? It's nothing, you know what I mean? We're kind of like considered the same age pretty much, you know. So yeah, but there was that, Chad. I started back in the day. I never stopped. It's part of my life, like big time. I'm not saying this to be biased or to say kind of like redundant stuff. It's really true. I mean, it's really part of who I am in every single aspect of my life, you know. So I'm glad I took this decision.
Yeah, you know, today you're super famous professor, and you have, you know, such successful schools in Texas and still in Belo Horizonte. And but one of the things I just always admired about you was your, you know, just ferocious competitor. And I looked up to that. I looked up to your, you know, just your intensity and your imposing technique. And one of my proudest moments ever, people always say, what's my favorite moment in MMA, my MMA career? And I think my favorite moment was being able to compete in Strikeforce at the same time with you as my professor at the time, being able to be able to compete in Strikeforce together, and we both won. It was a really cool night.
That was a great night. I was actually around 5 years out of the MMA cages and rings. I didn't do any MMA fight because, I mean, there was a transition to America and other stuff, you know, going on. And when I decided to do the match, the fight, when they offered me the fight, you know, I knew that you knew the guy, so I could call him and say, hey, I'm fighting on the same card. And one of the reasons why I decided to do it, because of course you think about it, you know, it's like, man, you know, I have to stop a lot of things and train again and all my injuries and all that stuff. But then when you said you're competing, I was like, man, number one, we can train together, which is good because you're kind of like the same size a little bit. And man, I mean, we're going to have a good vibe there. We're going to have a good energy there. We're going to be there as a team. It's not going to be just me by myself or him. Because when you have more people competing from the same team, it's different. You know that. You know, like we all get that good vibe, and we all get that inspiration from one and another. And I decided to do it, and I'm glad. You know, it was a good night. It wasn't one of my best performances, but I was a little with ring rust. But it was good. We dominated. You dominated. I dominated. You got a really tough kid too. I remember that kid. Forgot the name of the kid. The kid's dangerous. Like he comes to flying stuff all over, and you know, like flying knee, fly triangle. Like
Roberto De Leon.
Yeah, tricky kid, that kid. But everything went great. We trained together. Remember, we trained together. You came down. I went down to train with you guys. It was great. It was a great moment, man. I'm never going to forget too. It was a good time.
Well, so that's an MMA. What your jiu-jitsu career? Like, what was your favorite times in competing in jiu-jitsu? One of your, I don't want to say your rival, because I don't know if you would agree your rival, but one of your main competitors was Royler, yeah?
Yeah, Royler, Gracie. Yeah, I mean, I would say that if you consider the word rival only on the competitive level, yeah, I would say so. Like for maybe 4 years, me and him were kind of the ones that were going at it. He was the only guy that could stop me for getting further, because I was the only guy who beat me actually on the world championships as a black belt. I never lost to anybody else, you know. And I mean, I guess I was not very lucky to be competing on my prime, on the top of my shape, when he was the man. I mean, he won 4 consecutive titles. He beat everybody, not just me, you know. But I didn't lose to anybody except him. I was in really good shape. I was really, like, I would say I was the number 2 for sure. You know, I was in really good shape. My head was good, but there was a problem with him, is that I actually went to a doctor because of that, to a psychological doctor, psychologist. I never changed my fan mentality from my competitor mentality. Every time I stepped with him, we did really good matches, competitive matches. But I saw him as an idol, because I remember when I was a white belt, he was already a champion in the black belt and skinny and winning the absolute. I was like, man, I want to be like this guy. So he was always like one of the biggest inspirations for me. And it's me and him, you know what I mean? So it gave me work, man. It gave me work. It was tough for me to make that transition. And I know for a fact, I mean, I'm not taking anything away from him. He beat me. He was better than me. No questions asked. The matches were close. But honest in the world, I didn't go against him like I did with the other guys. It was different. You know what I mean? I think it was too much respect. And I work on that with my psychologist. But honestly, I got better, but it didn't happen like the way we expected. But yeah, if I would say like he was one of the main guys, I had others, you know, that I competed more than 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. But you know, he's one of the most famous guys in jiu-jitsu, so everybody remembers me and him. So
this episode of the Robo Show is brought to you by iron-neck.com. Iron Neck is the world's #1 neck strengthening device. You guys don't know, in 2006, I was in Afghanistan and broke my neck. And if you want to read about that story, a crazy story of how I broke my neck, it's in my book, Unfair Advantage. You can go and check it out. But coming back from Afghanistan, after that's when I had all my big MMA fights, and my neck, and the VA wanted to do fusion, and I refused to do fusion, and I just opted to just strengthen my neck, keep my neck strong. So since, man, all these years fighting through all my fights in MMA and jiu-jitsu, I've always been very important that I keep the muscles of my neck strong, because the bones in my neck are broken off, and so I don't have that stability. And so neck strengthening has always been a very important thing to me. I've always just improvised ways to do it, using body weight, using different kind of improvised things that I'd make up. But now I don't have to do that anymore, because I have an Iron Neck device, which helps me to not only strengthen my neck, but do it in a safe way. The way the device works is it's on a rotator, so as you move your neck, the point of where the tension is actually moves around your head. And so super effective and safe way to strengthen your neck. And whether you have a neck injury or not, I think in sports or just in life, it's really important to have a good, strong neck. If your neck's strong, your hips are strong, your body's going to be strong. And so check it out, iron-neck.com. If you enter promo code Robichaux, Robichaux, my last name, you'll get 10% off. And I'm really doing this because I love it myself, and I want everybody out there, especially those with bad necks, to be able to take care of themselves. And so I really thought it was a great product to push out and partner with. And these guys are pretty awesome. They're a Texas-based company. iron-neck.com. Yeah. Yeah. So
it was good times. Good times too, man. He made me who I am, actually, in a lot of ways, because the way he inspired me, and also the way he made me train. Because, man, if you're not like on top of the shape with him, he would just eat you alive, you know what I mean? So I was like, I needed to be in the top of my shape in everything.
Yeah, I know. When you got a guy, you know what? My only loss, I lost 2 times this year, because I've been competing a lot this year. And I lost to the guy from Florida, from Sao Paulo, Brazil. I forget his name.
Beiço, yeah.
Lost to
He's
him.
with Rafael Gordinho. Yeah, Beiço.
He's a
Forgot
monster.
his first name, but his nickname is Beso.
But then I competed in Dallas Open.
Tough guy.
I won the gold in the gi division, and then in the no gi division, I felt like I was on fire. And then I ran into Mike Trent. He just shut me down, and now I have him in the pan. So that's making me I want to train harder because I was like, man.
Yeah. I mean, like he can be not just him, Chad, but anybody who actually beats you. And I know how you think. You're a warrior. You don't quit, and you take this as an experience to go to the next level. I know for a fact that he trained really hard. Now you know better his game, and he's really tough. He's one of my students. He's really, really tough. And I was just talking to you offline, right, Chad, that when he got the black belt, he transformed himself. It was amazing. It was crazy. You know, like on the brown belt, he was always a tough guy, of course, but he lost a couple of times. He used to compete kind of like not very good a couple of times. And now in the black belt, man, he's just like killing it. I don't think he lost not even one match yet. Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, but to your point, like when you have run into guys like that, it makes you better. It's
well, for sure, 100%. They're needed, man, for us.
If you're winning all the time, then you're probably not at your best.
Oh no, not at all. This is for a fact. If you're kicking everybody's butt and winning everything, that is not a good sign in regards to the long run. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's just transitions to a life principle. Like in life, if you just have super easy life and never no friction in your life, you're not the best version of yourself that you could be. But when friction comes, when you fall on your face a few times and you get back up, it makes you be a better person. And I think
100%. 100%. But Chad, you have to I agree 100%, but you have to remember also that not everybody's like us. You know what I mean? Like most people quit in adversity. Most people give up. And I'm not saying in a fighting field or military field. I'm saying like in life.
Life, right?
You know, yes. So I think that yes, I agree with you. It really sharps you and makes you better. But you have to have a certain mentality. Otherwise, you break it, right? So.
Well, I mean, that's just a good transition to what I really wanted to talk about today. Is like, there's so many things that I've learned in my life. You know, I started martial arts when I was 5 years old. I started in judo, Japanese jiu-jitsu as a kid, like you. And I look at, how I made it in the special forces. Those character traits, the discipline, the character you learn on the mats, the work ethic, learning how to not just succeed, but how to fail and get back up again. Like all those things. Sure. I look at, trying to become a recon Marine at that very young age. I think those character traits is what gave me the edge to complete that training and become a recon Marine. And I think there's so many things that a young person can learn in life about being a martial artist. And I heard you talk about it so many times. And in fact, it's one of the things I've always just admired about you is that you always say, like, you always talk about the martial artist on the mat, but the person that you should be off the mat, those skills should translate. Yes. Character, discipline, work ethic, learning how to succeed, learning how to fail, learning how to treat people with respect.
Exactly.
Like, these things are great for martial artists, but if you apply them in your personal life, you'll find success, right?
100%. I really believe that every single person in the world should have martial arts experience. Because if you take just a little bit away from that, it will help you in life, like you said. I really like to compare sometimes like the military and what happens in a martial art dojo, a serious one. There's a lot of similarities, as you already know. Like the brotherhood that you have with people, the respect. Like every single day you go there, sometimes you kick ass, sometimes you get your ass kicked. Sometimes you have to persevere and go and push yourself to a limit. So there's a lot of things that translate, and I'm pretty sure you turn to be like an amazing recon Marine like you were, right? A lot because of your martial arts background. I know for a fact, for sure. If you just like coming out of like a college and going to party all the time and drinking and smoking and I not having like any kind of commitment or discipline, I'm sure you wouldn't be as good as you were. I know for a fact. You know what I mean? So I think that, yes, like what happens in a dojo, Chad, I know for a fact. This, with all my experience, I'm almost 50 years old now, about to be 50. And I'm on the mats for like over 30, almost 40 years now. But what happens on a mat of a martial arts gym, it's a replication of life. Like in a lot of ways. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes you're in a good mood, sometimes you're in a bad mood. Sometimes you deal with somebody super nice and a good people. Sometimes you deal with like bad people. One day you're not gonna feel like going, but you have to. And other days, like you're gonna get hurt. And that's like almost everything. You have to learn how to win, how to lose. You have to learn how to have social skills. You have to learn how to have discipline and hierarchy, because the higher belts, you have all that stuff. Like, man, it's a replication of life. I really think so. And I'm glad that me and you and millions of other people, we are who we are because of that.
You told a story one time, and it just always stuck with me. You talked about the mats being an equalizer, like the rich kid, the weak kid. I would love for you to share that with the guys listening.
Yeah, and that's like something that comes handy with what I just said. It's another lesson in life. Because, man, look, inside those 4 lines of a dojo mat area, man, doesn't matter if you're rich, if you're poor, if you're black, if you're white, if you're Muslim, if you're Catholic, if you're Christian. Doesn't matter if you're rich, if you're famous, if you're good looking, if you're bad looking. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. Everybody's treated the same. You will get your ass kicked if you're not a good day, such like everybody else. Your fame, your money, your good looks, it won't help you. And you have to deal with that, period. I'm proud of myself to never be biased to any students, regardless any reason. You see a lot of people like kind of protecting student. Oh, you got to protect the student because this guy is like rich and he's going to invest on, or, oh no, I'm going to protect that student there. I'm going to give him like extra attention because he's very talented. I never did that, Chad. I always treated everybody exactly the same. I give the same importance to the multiple-time world champion in my gym as the brand new white belt that joins. Everybody is treated exactly the same. Respectful. If you're respectful, we're going to be super respectful. If you always trying to give good advice, trying to learn, trying to teach, it is an equalizer, man. You see, where do you see, man, like Jews and Muslims going at it, trying to kill each other and shake hands and hug after that?
Yeah.
Where do you see that? It's very hard to see that. You see it in sports, but in jiu-jitsu is like combat sport.
It's intimate.
Yes, they put their hands on each other. And man, like in my gym, I see this all the time. Like I see pretty much every week, for just giving an example, a Jewish person and a Muslim, they go at it and they're friends. One is from Palestine and the other from Israel, and they're friends. They're friends. You know what I mean? It's amazing, because inside there, if they start to act up, I don't care, man. I'm gonna keep both out, because that's not the place to it. The place there is to be respectful, to try to be better than you were a day before, and to push your teammates and your friends to be better too, because then we're gonna get better. That's it. And I don't care about anything else. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, all this, in our culture right now, all this talk about racism, and by the way, I don't believe America is a place of systemic racism. I believe America had an ugly history, but it's had an incredible history of overcoming racism. It is still bad people in the country. It's bad people everywhere.
Of course.
But one of the places I've seen that, in my experience, being in the military, racism didn't exist there. And you're there to do a job, and that's your brother. You
exactly
live together, you sleep together, you laugh together, you make fun of each other. Like, I love that. I seen the same things in the military that I experienced there with people from different color, different backgrounds, poor, rich, all that stuff. I love seeing that on the mats too. And I think it's one of the reasons that I'm super comfortable being on the mats. And when class is over, sitting down on the mats, sweaty and hanging out, laughing 40 minutes with people. One time I was sitting down at a restaurant after jiu-jitsu, and I'm sitting down and it just kind of hit me. I'm looking across the table at the people. We had an oil field executive, a border patrol agent, an FBI agent, a drug dealer, a guy on parole, another guy on parole, like a guy who paints houses, like he's a laborer painter. Everybody's like, all these different people, they're hanging around with nothing else in common besides jiu-jitsu. They're laughing together, having fun together. And any other circumstances, these people would never be sitting at a table having dinner together.
No way. And like you said, man, like this is very common for us. This happens all the time. You know, like everybody together, and actually, man, like nobody cares about the color of your skin, about how rich you are, how famous. You're gonna be treated well if you treat everybody well, period, man. There's no differentiation. I never in my life, you know, training or dealing with people or being friends with people or doing business with people, I could never see a color of skin on people. I just see the person. I just see the person. I never say like, oh, I'm gonna do business with a Muslim guy. Oh no, I'm gonna be friends with an Indian guy. Or oh no, I'm gonna, I'm gonna have a competition match against that black guy. There's no such thing. It's just going against people, dealing with people. That's people. That's one race. You know what I mean? I could never get that big deal of people, like bad people, like you said, all over the world, like using that excuse to be hateful. You know what I mean? Like one way or the other. I never got it. I really, since my childhood, I could never differentiate anything. I just could see the person, if the person is good or bad. That's it. Other than that, I care less about everything else, man. That's the truth. I care less. I really care less.
Yeah, for sure. That's one of the things I think people learn in jiu-jitsu is about that. Just treating people for who they are and getting to do life with people that you wouldn't normally do life with. One of the things I love is you and I both travel a lot, and man, I'll travel, speak for Mighty Oaks Foundation, and I'm like in a different city that I've never been before speaking. And what I do everywhere I go is I look, for jiu-jitsu school, and I email them who I am. I'd love to stop in, and they're always like, "Oh, great! Please stop in. Would you teach a class?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll teach a class." And so we'll go and sometimes it's on a Saturday night because I'll be speaking at a church on a Sunday. And I'll go the UFC. They're like, "Hey, you want to come watch the UFC?" And now I find myself either at someone's house or at a Buffalo Wild Wings watching the UFC with people I never met before. Yep. And you swear we've been best friends for 20 years.
That's what I'm saying. It's something with jiu-jitsu, man. And Chad, honestly, the more I think about it, the more I come to a conclusion. And I don't know if you agree with me or not. Why do you have like such strong bonds in jiu-jitsu and more than sometimes in other? I mean, I think military in jiu-jitsu and military especially, of course, number one, but it's because of trust. You have to trust 100% your partner or your brother or your friend. In jiu-jitsu, you have to trust them not to kill you. Think about it. Yeah, because you got to trust them. If you tap, they're going to let go. They're not going to choke you out. They're not going to break your arm. You trust them. You guys have like that kind of like contact, full contact, one trying to rip the other guy's head off, but with a knowledge that we are not trying to hurt each other and we will stop when we need to stop, when you ask so, or when you feel so. Mm-hmm. This creates a really strong bond because, man, even if it's not conscious, if it's unconscious, you go like, I can trust this guy in my life, man. Literally. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's the same in the military. You were there, and then if something happens on the battlefield, you can trust your brother with everything. You know that. And this creates a strong bond that nobody can break. That's my theory. I don't know. I mean,
I agree.
I'm not a psychologist.
I've said the same thing before. You're trusting the guy with your life. You know what I mean? I mean, everybody kind of thinks like, oh, you kind of forget that tap Like what happens if your partner doesn't honor that tap?
Yeah, exactly.
Or ligaments or dead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think what happens.
Oh, yeah.
So you literally are trusting people with your life and your safety every day you train, and every time you slap hands and bump fist, you put that safety in that other person's hand. And you're right. I think it's
exactly. This is a very strong bond created, and said I always like to compare a little bit with the military. We talked a little bit about the brotherhood, about trusting each other, and about helping each other and all that. But man, like we in martial arts, we do controlled combat with rules, with everything. The military goes to the real combat. You guys are different level. Like people say, it will be a war, my fight against this guy. I get it. I understand what they mean, but they don't know what war is. Like a real war and real combat is a different level. So my hat's off to all the military. You guys I'm your biggest fan. And I believe that the real true warriors of the world are the military person, especially here in America, that pretty much makes us have this amazing life, right, Chad? We live in a free country. You can say whatever you want. And that's amazing. So my salute to you guys.
I always think highly of you and some other Brazilians I know who came to America and modern day living out the American dream. And I'm so happy for your success. You're extremely successful, and it makes me super, super proud to see that.
Thank you, brother.
One last question that I personally have that I never asked you. I've asked you all.
Go ahead.
I never asked you. So for those listening, Professor Draculino is the nickname because you look like Dracula.
Yeah, I look like Dracula, especially now with my long white hair and if I didn't sleep well. So yeah, that's me.
So is that why you named your son Igor?
No, not really. Not really. Not really, but it's a good question.
Have you had that question before?
You never asked. That's the first time. You never asked. So here's the thing. In Brazil, it's very common that we call, especially men, Russian names, because the Russian names are short and strong. Yeah. So in Brazil, there are millions of Igors there. There's also a lot of Yuris in Brazil. So Yuri and Igor are the names that are really strong Russian names that a lot of people use in Brazil. Sometimes people that have nothing to do with Russian heritage, like myself. But the names are short and strong. So we were thinking about, with Igor's case, we're deciding between Yuri and Igor. But it came out that I was like, man, Igor, it's a tough name. It's strong, so that's why we decided. And then here it's funny because like when we got here in America, a lot of people said Igor, and some people who could even say the name like, oh, Igor, whatever. It's fine. But the thing is that a lot of people started to make the relation between like the Frankenstein and the Dracula with the Igor. The Igor, I think it was the server, right, or something. It was like no, it's not like that.
Yeah, I had to ask.
I wouldn't do this to my son, brother.
We could talk forever because I love our time together. But anything you want to plug out there? Let people follow you or?
Yeah, man. Like if you guys want to follow me on social media, my profile is Draculino with a U, like Dracula, Draculino, JJ, like as Jiu-Jitsu, Draculino JJ. I have 2 schools in the Houston area, in Texas, and 1 in Brazil, in Belo Horizonte. You guys are more than welcome to go, try it out, pop in there, say hi, ask questions, whatever. I love to deal with people. I love to talk to people. Our Gracie Barra, Texas location is in Webster, Texas, on the Clear Lake area. We have 1 in Pearland too, and the 1 in Brazil in Belo Horizonte. And, any other, we have a lot of friends, right, Chad? Like we have schools all over. So if you guys decided to give it a try in Jiu-Jitsu, I'm telling you, and I can assure you that you're not going to regret.
Yeah. All right, Professor. It's so great to have you on. One of the best ever, and just a friend for life with me. So
yeah, brother. Same here, man.
Look forward to seeing you soon.
Take care, brother. Me too, man. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity. It was a great time as always, brother.
God bless.